Morning. Excuse me. Good morning. Need another cup of coffee, I think. Welcome to BYK Smart Chart version 7.3.1 training. Today's presenter will be Ms. Ray Roby. She's our business line manager for automotive. I'm John Kowalski. I'm part of the marketing team here at BYK Gardner, and it looks like a few more people are joining. So let's give them another minute or so, and then we will start. We are also recording this, so if you have any questions, you can refer to that. You'll be emailed the recording link, and we'll also have question and answer following today's training and presentation. So stay tuned. I'll be right with you in just a moment or two. Thank you. Okay, John here again. Thank you for joining us. Before we get started, you'll notice a chat area in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Feel free to use that during the presentation to log any questions or comments, and we'll get to them following the presentation. As I mentioned, let me turn things over to Ray Roby. She's our business line manager for automotive and Smart Chart resident expert here. So with that, Ray, it's all yours.
So good morning, everybody, and hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna go through everything like if I was doing a new install. If you guys have any questions, John can always read them to me. If it's at a specific module, that's fine, and we can do it that way, or you can hold the questions till the end, up to you. All right, so this is the new look. If you guys haven't downloaded it and you have an older version, it might look a little bit different, but everything that you've used before is still here. The first thing is the license, and this is important. If they upgrade your computer or if something is going on with your computer, you need to hook up the instrument that the license was associated with and then return the license by clicking this button back to the instrument. So don't forget that if you have any upgrades. All right, then the first thing is standard management. All of you guys are getting now these NOSs from Jill, and it's very easy. You get the email from Jill, you save it to someplace on your computer, and then you click import. And then you'll just find it wherever it's located, and you can click on it and open it, and it imports. All right, so for the BYK, for all your NOSs, it's all going to be, the same. This, let it load. Delta FCA, and it's going to be Delta EP. And all of the angles are turned on, and then you're pass failing on your Delta E total and your Delta SE. And this is the same for every single standard. If I click on the standard itself, each one of these is going to have different S factors for L, A, B, and C and H, depending on if it's chromatic or non-chromatic. And these are all done by FCA before you even get the standard itself. So it's all set up. Also, the effect is turned on. And here you can see it's turned on. So for wave scan, you can also set your tolerancing. I know right now we're just doing the R value, but I think they still want you to collect the FAM and the accuracy. So you would delete these if these are the ones that are on here. 1 second. You have to do this on the color family. So you would delete all these. And then you would add R value, which is rating. And then under fiat, the fiat appearance matrix and the accuracy. And then you can set these tolerancings however you like. You can take out the yellow portion by hitting the minus sign here. If you don't want a yellow light to come up, if you just want it to be pass or fail. And then these boxes, you can just type in whatever you like. Okay. And that's pretty much everything that you guys will actually have to do in here, because the family name's already going to be made. You're not going to have to add standards. You're just going to have to import them. And just the BYK and the wave scan. You can look under values just so you can see it, but this is the different instruments that were measured with for the standard, so the 23 and the 12 millimeter. So both of these standards work with either instrument. All right. So are there any questions on standard management? John? Nothing? Okay. Instrument management, this is where you send your organizers and your standards to the instrument. Unfortunately, I don't have an instrument, so you can't see, but the instrument name and serial number will pop up here. And then you'll have on the right side your organizers and your standards that you can send to the instrument. And then in the middle, there'll be a blue arrow that means you can send it to the instrument. If the arrow is red, there's a problem with the standard or with the organizer, so you need to go back and check that. All right, yeah. So configure.
If anyone has any questions, please log them in the chat, and I can jump in and read them, and Ray can address them. So anytime throughout the presentation, just log your questions in the chat area. Sorry for the interruption, Ray.
No problem. So in configuration, this is where you set up your database, and basically you just click add database and then you type a name in. My suggestion is that you keep all of your data in the same database, unless you have something like a special project and you don't want to have to sort for that data when you're sending the information out to Stellantis. Under options, you can set up where you can export data as a CSV file. Currently, we're not doing that at any of your locations, but if that's something that needs to be done in the future, I can show you how to do that. You can pick absolute values. You can add the spectral data for the BYK. And for the wave scan, you can put all the basic scales in. The standard database, this can also be located on a full SQL server. Currently, you guys aren't doing that right now. but right now you'll be on a local database file. So in this standard database, it's all the standards and the organizers. So if you are having your computer refurbished or whatever, upgraded, you also want to save this file somewhere because it's going to have all of your standards and your organizers. And this is where it's located. It's always in the same place on every single computer. So just make sure that you take that file also with your measurement databases. The database backup, you can do this for your measurement database, and it'll also back up your standard database. And you can set it for a specific time automatically if you want, and then the folder that you want it to go to. So most people send them to a shared drive because then if anything happens to their computer, they can still access those files. Organizer management, this is just where you would take out stuff that's no longer being used. And I know a lot of you have started using the new organizer and the new names. So if you want to get rid of all the old stuff really fast, you can just hit delete here and it'll delete anything not being used and also the schematics that aren't being used and the checkzone names. If you don't delete the checkzone names, I think it's going to get rather confusing once you set up your new organizers, because when you go into there, you're going to see all these different names. Schematics, you can add any schematic that you like, even pictures if you want. It's pretty open format for what you can do. And the catalogs, this is just where if you wanted to change the name that's on one of these, so say I wanted the first one to be model, I could put that in there and then it's going to always call it model. The only time this gets confusing is if you have some organizers that aren't set up the same direction or the same way. So just make sure that everything's set up the same way. And then user groups, if for some reason, and I'm not sure why for this setting that we would do this, but if you don't want people to have access to certain sections, like say standard management or configuration, you can set up a password and define them as a group, and then they can only get in with their password for their group. Okay. So now we go to organizers. And again, we've sent out this generic one before. This one's just for BYK, but we could also do it for the wave scan. And basically the first parameter would be the model name. So we'll just call it this for now. The standards you get from your standard management. I'll just pick one color. And parameter 3 is normally the booth. The instruments here, like I said, only the BYK activated, but you could activate the wave scan if you want to use the same checkzone names. And here's all the checkzone names that I have. So I have some others from other organizers, and this is what I'm saying. If you're going to use all these new checkzone names, it's probably better to get rid of these. So if I went back in and deleted out of configuration, then those names would no longer be there, and it wouldn't be so confusing. The other thing that's important here is this curvature. We usually set it on medium unless you have a high curved part and you need to go to high. And this just tells you what, or tells the instrument what the pin settings need to be, how much pressure needs to be on every pin setting. You can pick how many times you want to read. If you're going to do more than one reading per location, then you should probably spread them out a little bit. Don't just read the same place like 3 times. And then you can also set up a panel match down here so that you can see how your harmony is. All right, one other thing that's important in here is this interrupt. If you don't have the interrupt turned on and you have, say, you're missing a door. I mean, there's many things that could happen, but if you're missing the door, you can't save the data that you read and you can't skip that checksum unless you have interrupt turned on. You can also pick pass-fail mode, so it pass-fails on the screen, or you can pick difference mode. And then the input ID, some OEMs use this to have the VIN number stored with the data. Right now, I don't think anybody at the plants at Stellantis is doing this. Input comment is really hard with the scroll wheel, so I don't usually turn this on. And then test series protected just means that the data cannot be deleted from the instrument, only from the software. So let me add the wave scan so you can see. So this has the same settings. You can input parameter 5 or input parameter 4. This is a new feature in this version. Test series protected, it's the same. Plausibility control just means that if you want to measure higher dullness or lower gloss material, that you can measure it if you turn this off. And it doesn't always work for everything. It depends on the dullness level. And then you can put in your scales if it's the WaveScan 2. If it's WaveScan 3, you actually have to set those scales in standard management and not in here. And then the test procedure, I'll just pick a couple things. Here you can set your scan length. You can set how many times you want to measure. You can make groups. Some people like to have like a horizontal group and a vertical group, or a left and a right side, and get the average there. And then this new feature down here, you can actually have a harmony for your wave scan data. And that'll show up in your data analysis. You can add organizers. You can save, you can delete, you can rename them, and then you can actually import and export them if you want to share them with somebody at the same plant, or if you need to import it, like when we send out this generic version. You can also protect these with a password. It's up to you. All right, data transfer I think is pretty obvious. You can pick whichever database that you want, and you can select it, and then when the instrument's hooked up, you can save the data. And for you guys, what's important here for the wave scan data is that in parameter 4, you always put your plant. And there's a whole list of how those names should be so that it's always the same. Data analysis. We'll look at some demo data. No. So I'll pick a wave scan. Always remember that if you go to test report, it's only one test series, and everything that's on the left side, we call it test series. So one vehicle or one data point, however you like. At the top, you can change how you sort for things. So if I want to sort, say, for this month or a specific time range or a specific time span, I can do that. I can also search by the status. I can search by the model. I can search by the color. And a lot of times, you know, you can pick the instrument, but I wouldn't be picking like these horizontal and panel match points or the checksum names themselves, because unless you just want one check zone, it's kind of hard to go through the whole list and pick exactly what you want. So if you leave it blank, everything you measured is going to show up. I know in our previous software, a lot of people knew that you had to pick everything specifically that you wanted or it wouldn't show up. So in Smart Chart, it's much easier and you don't have to do that. Scorecard. This you could use, say we just pick some Wavescan data. If you wanted to just show the overall averages for a specific amount of time for like different colors, you can show that this way. This is a pivot table. In here, you could pick what you want to see. And in this newest version, you can actually add scales that you didn't have turned on when you measured, unlike previous versions. So if I wanted to add combined forward, I could add that and that would show up. You can change how you want to look at it. If you just want to look at horizontal and vertical, you can change that. You could put the orientation after the color so you can see them this way instead of the other way. I can put in the year, the check zones. If I wanted to, anything I want, I can just drag and drop it. So I can look at the line graphs over time. This is just CF because that's the one that I picked. Horizontal, vertical, or all. The other thing that you can do is if you have multiple things, you can change how you view them. And now when I look at it, I see the R value versus the CF value. That's also a new feature, how you can change the graphs and put them in however you like. The balance spectrum, this shows you the curves for all of the structure spectrums and whether or not your intolerance for the different areas. So this is kind of changed from what you saw before. We didn't really have the red, yellow, green areas. We just had this target curve, which means for this material, that would be perfect balance between the long wave and the short wave. And then the limit curve is here. So obviously for this example, we're out of specification for DU and WB and WA. The other new thing is you can set up different reports. So say I want to make this one a report, I can hit plus. And I can save it as new layout 1 or whatever I like. And then every time I go into this report, I can go back and pick that. So now we don't have to redo all the reports every time. And I think we've had some discussion about well, I mean, we've had some discussion about trying to set up standardized reports for everybody so that the layout's the same. And then in trend, the same data. What's important here and new is that you can compare data. You have to click this compare, and then I can compare the hood to each other to see if I look the same on both of these. This one looks pretty much identical. The other thing that you can do is you can go in here and change this now to parameter 5 by timestamp if you want to look at every single individual vehicle, or check zone by timestamp. And then these are the things that were available before: the daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. And again, you can look at the line graphs, and these are two being compared over time, and you can see if you're doing the same thing over time. And then that's pretty much it for wave scan. The Big Mac, you can do the same analysis. We do have box plots added into here, but so test reports the same. One vehicle shows you the schematic, scorecard. Again, you can pick different default settings so that you're always looking at the same material or same information and you don't have to keep changing it. The line plot here, you can put only what you want, or you can have everything. And that you just simply click on what you want and the order that you want to see it in. So the same pretty much as the wave scan. The travel graphs are also important. These, I think, make viewing, and I gotta pick silver. These, I think, when you look at this, you can definitely see if you're running the same way on all of your parts, or if you're doing like data share with a supplier, you can see if people are running the same. You can do the scatter plot. And you can look at trend to compare two things like the fascia versus the quarter. And you can look at this as a line graph, travel graph, or in the scatter plot. And it shows you the color. And at the bottom, you can see how it works. Okay, so for me, here's where you can export. So like when you send Monique or Terry or someone, you can send this database here. So data extract to DB. All you do is name it for what you selected. And there's the naming conventions that I think Monique and Terry provided you guys. So you just name it, and then you can email it out. This is the refresh. Some people, if they have like a SQL server or robotic measurement, they want to auto refresh so that they are getting the latest data. But if you want to refresh, you just click there. And then this turns the graphs on and off. So if you want to just look at your data list and you don't want to have all the graphs and the tables there, you can do that too. One other new thing, depending on which version you were running before, is you can turn the tolerances off so you don't have to see them at the top if you don't want. And it also puts the model and all the information about the color at the top and the serial number if you plug that in. Okay, so are there any questions, comments, clarifications?
Yeah, please enter them in the chat box located in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If there's any clarification or if there's anything Ray can expand upon. Someone's typing in there. So let's see. Thank you, Edgar. How can you export the information to Excel?
So I wasn't gonna go over this. I mean, I can show you. You just click export here, and then you can export it to Excel.
Nice, that's simple.
And then it opens Excel up and it shows you the data. And you can do this for any of the screens.
If assistance is needed later, who should the contact be? Should it be our applications team, Ray?
Sure. I mean, you can also email me or you can email Corey Cohen and you can send that out with the recording.
Yeah, that will go automatically. I will type that in the chat function, both of those email addresses.
So is Monique on?
Yes, she is.
You want to unmute her and see if she's got anything she wants to add?
No, actually, good morning, everyone. I just asked a question. So I know that there are some people who maybe still need to download the new version. So that's why I asked the question if there's assistance needed for some of these new features, who should be contacted?
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I did just put that in the chat function. Are you able to see with both Corey and Ray's name and email?
I see. Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. And there will also be, following this, everyone will be automatically emailed a link to this recording. So you can review it at a later day and time, share it with colleagues. Also, those who were unable to attend will also receive that recording link so they can view that and have the necessary information to optimize and get this new software rolling for them.
Okay, and then I have one more request. So for when you send this out, is it possible, Ray, to also send out the link to this database again?
To the software, the new version?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can send those two things out together, I think that would be beneficial as well. Thanks.
Sure.
I mean, is there anybody on the line who's having issues with getting the new version?
There were some people who didn't have it. I'm not sure if it got lost in the email or something, but there were some people who were having trouble downloading it because IT support was needed. There was some confusion about the links that were sent in the past versus obtaining the information or this new version from the website as well. So, yeah.
I think the website issue has now been fixed. So if you want to go back to the website and download, that might be an easier way than using the link that we sent. We just needed to get something out to people so that they could get the new version as fast as possible, and our website was down.
Okay, so maybe the website is the better way to go.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm just posting the link in the chat to our main software download area. So it's right there on that page.
Okay. This is the link that was sent before, but maybe the website is faster or easier.
I think the
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, because you don't have to wait for the code.
Right, there is where I had an issue, so I went to the website to download.
Yeah, that's perfect. And the version on the website is 7.3.1. So that link in the chat is the right link. Great. Anybody else have any other questions, or if it's too elaborate to type, just put in the chat. Please unmute me, and I can unmute you from this end. Yeah, we're here to help, definitely.
I mean, I don't think I missed anything.
No, and I know there's some other training set up. I think next week and the week after we set up a couple of these. So I'll also send reminder invites to them. If anyone's interested to get on those. But we really just want to make sure you have the tools and the training necessary to be efficient on your end.
And anyone who's on can always send me data if they want me to take a look at it and get my feedback on what I see. I can do that too. One other thing I can talk about is if you click here and you go to history, you get the last data points for that specific, like for this instance, it's the left rear fascia. So you get a time or a history of it for a trend plot. So I think that's a cool feature that's new. These other things have been here, but I can explain them just because we do have a lot of time. So intensity emission, you can add that. And then it will be at the back. Or it'll be somewhere. Or maybe I lied. All right, so I might have found a bug. Anyway, the intensity emission, that just gives you an idea of how fluorescent the material is. And as long as that number always stays the same, it's good. But if that number jumps, say to like a higher value, then you want to make sure that you're paying attention to make sure there's no issues with weathering. What is going on? And you can also record the temperature of your part. So I'm not sure why it's not working, but maybe I just found a new bug. Okay, let's not talk about that. Are there any other questions?
Nothing in the chat. If anyone has anything, we definitely still have some time, and love to help you out in any way we can. Typing here.
Yay, someone's gonna ask a question.
You can play Stump Ray. Still typing. It's a good one.
Must be.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest enhancement with this upgrade is?
Did someone ask you that, or are you stumping me?
I'm just stumping you. I'm just stalling while the next question comes in. Oh, saved. John saved you here. Hi, Ray. Can you show the steps again in trending the 1 point over time?
Yes. Okay, so you have to be on test report. And then you just pick the location you want, and then you click on history. And it trends it over time. I think that's a sweet feature because you can do it pretty fast. And you don't have to go in and find all those data points that you want to trend. It automatically does it for you. So I actually know why my intensity emission and my temperature are not working. It's because of the database I was in. So let's see if it works this time. Yes, here's the intensity emission, and here is the temperature. The temperature's at the end, and for real this time. Sorry, my
follow-up question from John on the trending 1 point over time. Can you compare points with that?
Hang on, I gotta switch databases again.
Sure.
I'll do this one. Can you compare? Actually, I don't know the answer. That's why I need to check. Yes, you can.
Nice. How did you do that again?
So I picked the two locations that I wanted to compare. In this example, it's for robotics, so it says 4 and 72. So we don't really know what they are. And then you click on history.
Very nice.
And it shows you.
Excellent. Other questions, comments? You want to see anything? Back to the temperature. Good.
And then the temperature is over here. So now it works correctly.
That was just based on the database you had selected.
Yeah, because that database that I was using was quite old. So when we had that database made, it didn't have the intensity emission or the temperature. So that's also a new addition, not to this software specifically, or to this version specifically, but a newer thing that we've done in the future. So since it wasn't measured when I used the old database, that's why. That's all it was. Oh, I can show you some stuff about printing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this report function.
Yeah. So in here, it's like you can set this up however you like now. If you go into configuration, you can now rename your reports and come up with different templates. New. And then you can change the name. You can also change this to be for your company. And you can put in your own logo.
Nice.
So I don't have a Stellantis logo, but you could add it there. And you can also change your title page so that it says exactly what you want. You can add the graphs or take them out. The one thing here where you see it says enabled, user can enable or disable, and then if it's enabled, so when I go out of here and show you, you can check on what you want to see, and then you have to hit reload, of course.
Nice.
Now you have more data. It does take it a minute to reload, but now you can see the schematics in there and all the graphs.
And from here, you can either print or, oh, I see, also send it to PDF as email. Perfect. Or you can download it. Correct.
Yeah, you can either save it as a PDF or you can email it. Some of the companies don't let you send the PDF as an email, like straight from here. You will have to save it first and then send it as an email. But I mean, it's a nice feature. It works pretty well. And then here's your print function where you can download. This is new. That's a new feature. I've never seen that one. Not sure why you'd want to do that, but
But you can if you'd like. Other questions? Put them in the chat box here, and you can have Ray address them. Okay, we got another one coming in. Someone's typing.
okay.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, following this, you'll get a link to this recording, also the link to the software downloads, and both Corey and Ray's contact information. Irving asks, in the Smart Chart software, is there a way to create color travel charts?
Can you unmute him?
Yeah.
These?
There. Irving, now you are able to unmute from your end, so we can hear you. Would you mind asking your question?
Hello, and thank you. I mean, if there is a way to analyze the color trend, for example, the delta L, delta A, or delta B, to check the trend in different angles, I think 25, 45, 75 degrees. That's the question. If I can see if there is a trend or in different angles.
So do you want like this kind of travel plot, or are you talking?
Yes, that kind of chart. Exactly.
Okay. So that chart is just under travel, but you can also do line charts if you want. You can pick the different angles that you want, and then you can see it by angle too. So either way.
Okay, right. Hey, Ray, can I add the tolerance?
The tolerance is already set up. See, here's the green. So in between here, I would be yellow, and this is red.
Okay, right, I see.
Very
So
nice.
it's already set up based off of the standard and how Stellantis set up the tolerancing.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
We have another question coming in here.
And when you do the history too, just for your guys' information, it has the tolerance down there too. I was just checking to make sure before I made that statement.
Good. Another question here. Is there anything in the works for WaveScan? As a unit vehicle report, it would assign the chosen appearance attribute to the reading locations on the vehicle silhouette, a silhouette report.
So let me think which one I have to go into. So, I mean, it does do the same as like the BYK. On the schematic, it shows you if it's pass or fail in that location, but it doesn't show you the actual data. This is a bad example because there's no tolerancing on it, sorry. But so let me see if I can find one. I don't know if this is BYK or BYK. But basically, I'll just show you this example so you can see. But it's the same idea. It's just going to show you if it's red, yellow, or green in those locations. As long as you have the tolerances set up in standard management, it will show you if it's red or green. But the numbers don't show up, so I'm not sure if that's what you're asking for or not. Do you want to unmute the person to see if I answer their question?
Yeah. Okay, John, you're able to unmute yourself now. I've unlocked your microphone here. I want to make sure that answered your question, or if you had any other follow-ups. And there should be a microphone with a line through it next to your name or below your name. You should be able to click on that to unmute yourself. Or you can type also if you're having some audio issues. Let's be muted. Typing. Your dogs have been quiet today, Ray.
I'm glad that you couldn't hear the one snoring. It was quite loud. I was a little worried about that.
John, yes, Ray answered his question.
Okay, cool.
Great. Any other questions? Anything else Ray can assist with?
Anything you can tell them about Smart Chart since you've been on many of these calls?
I'm getting there. I think it's cool. I like the pretty charts and graphs.
They're pretty charts to grab.
I know what some of the numbers mean, but I'm getting there. Well, that might be it for questions, Ray.
Okay.
Monique, do you have anything else before we conclude?
Thank you, John. No, I don't have anything else. I'm hoping that most of the questions or the presentation helped those who had some questions about the new features, that they were all answered. And I'm also thinking that um, once we start using this or the team starts to use the program, then maybe at the next session, there will be a few more questions.
Sure.
I agree. Yeah.
You bet.
So
Look-
this
look-
is kind of
look-
new, and I'm not sure that everyone has this installed yet. So I'm thinking once it's installed and they get to use it, the next session, we'll have a few more questions for clarity. But yeah, I think it was a great presentation. Thank you very much for this, and thank you all for attending.
Yeah, it looks like one more person is typing here, so we may have one final question in here. So we'll see. But yeah, and too, if as you install it, this discussion at the end, the questions and answers, those will also be included with the recording. So that will hopefully be helpful to everyone attending and those who haven't attended. And like Monique said, we can definitely have a longer Q&A session as long as you need during our next training. We just want to make sure you're proficient in this, and if there's anything we can do to help, we're there to support you. Can you tell I'm stalling while this last question comes in here?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Irving, okay, thank you. One more question. The software for BYK I family and Cloud Runner, is that the same?
So all of our instruments, I can show you in standard management. Give it a second. Everything works in the same platform now. So even our interior instruments and our exterior instruments and our new profiler that does texture, everything works in the same software. So there's no longer any other software that you would need to use. And Cloud Runner is right here. So I think that's a really, really good feature of how we've done things, because then everything pretty much works the same and it's really easy to learn.
Excellent. Renata, Irving, you're welcome. I think that does it then for today. You'll receive the link with the recording, as well as Ray and Corey's contact information if you need anything immediate there. You'll also get that link to download the software if you already haven't. Let us know if we can help in any way. Thank you, Monique, for setting this up and orchestrating this. Thank you for everyone who attended, and thank you, Ray, for your expertise and walking us through this. So we look forward to the next one, and if there's anything we can do in the meantime, feel free to reach out. So thank you.
Thank you, team. I appreciate everything. I appreciate you going through this. The presentation was excellent, I thought. And then to the participants who did join the training session, thank you for joining. And hopefully, again, this will be beneficial to you and help you get through gathering your data and exporting it over to me every month. Thank you.
I'm sure they can't wait. Thank you, everyone. And have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.